Willie D Live.
What's up, family? Welcome to Willie D Live. We got a special guest today, Tyla Crayton, aka the Sauce Boss, who started her wing and sauce business when she was just, get this, family, 14. Yeah. Now, her initial place of business shut down because the landlord sold the building. With the help of her loyal customer base, she was able to move to a new location, but that's where things hit a snag. You see, Johnson Development, managed by Sienna Property Owners Association, claimed trademark rights to her business, Sienna Wings. Yeah, fam. And they refused to allow her to put up signage until or unless she signs a coexistence agreement, which would basically give them the right to dictate how she conducts business. But guess what, fam? It also stops her from expanding without their permission. She can't open a new location anywhere in the world. She can't go to another city. She can't go to another country without their permission and open up a Sienna Wings. You dig what I'm saying? So here we are. Joining us right now is Tyla. Come on, Tyla. Where you at? I can't hear you. What's happening? What's going on?
Hello.
There she is. Tyla, what's going on? Bring us up to speed.
Yes, so like you said, the last location we were in, it closed down because the landlord sold the building. Then we moved over to this new location that we've been operating in it since June. We were subleasing it, but then in November we took over the lease and became the primary leaseholder. At that time, we went to apply for signage because we're in a POA, HOA community. We're in a master plan community, so you have to apply with the signage council. And when we went to go apply through the POA, they denied our signage, stating that we needed to get a letter of approval from the developer of the neighborhood, which is Johnson Development. And so it's not our landlord of the location that we're in. It's actually the developer who developed the whole neighborhood. They are requiring that we sign a licensing agreement or a coexistence agreement in order for us to put our sign on the building.
They want you to sign a coexistence agreement, right? Which means that Sienna property owners who are blocking your business from putting a sign up, well, actually, that would be Johnson Development who's really blocking, but they're doing it by way of Sienna Property Owners Association.
Yes. Yeah, because technically the POA, the council, can approve our sign without the letter from Johnson Development or the coexistence agreement from Johnson Development. But because the deed restrictions say that there needs to be some sort of agreement, they're just going based off of that.
Right. And that agreement, that coexistence agreement, specifies that Johnson Development would have approval rights over any business changes or expansions, including other cities, states, or even countries. You can't let that go down like that. That can't happen.
Yeah, there are a lot of restrictions in the agreement, some of them being expansion restrictions, quality control restrictions as well. Like if they come in and they can ask for specimens of like a fry or a wing, and if it's not crispy enough or it's not the way they want it, they can cancel the agreement. There are restrictions on our expansion. There are restrictions if we want to have investors or if we want to have people partner with the company or sell the company, we would have to get their approval. So those definitely limit, like I said, our ability to expand and just grow as any business wants to. We wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah.
Same without those restrictions if we sign the agreement.
Yeah, and as you can see on the screen, that's you giving everybody an update on the building.
Yeah.
You can see that sticker. There's a sticker on the door that says Sienna Wings, but you got to be like the bionic woman to see that sticker from the street.
And even that sticker, we've gotten notices to take that off the door, but like, we told them, hey, this is our only signage. Like, if we don't if we remove that from the door, then nobody could see us.
That name above, that was the commissary.
Yeah.
That's the old company.
Yeah. That's the previous company that was operating. It was like a public use pop-up kitchen, basically, for people to come and showcase their concepts locally. So that's the previously owned place. The reason why we've left that up there, even though it's no longer the commissary, is because my fear is that if we take down that sign, then when people drive, they'll think that we're closed. They'll think that nothing's there because there's no sign there. And then the place next door to us, they don't have a sign either. So it's not like we can say, hey, we're next door to such and such, because they don't have a sign. I don't know what the story is behind that, but again, that's why I've decided to leave that up there for now, just to give people like hey, we're inside of the commissary, you can find us here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's got to be cold-blooded for you to find the perfect location. Like, okay, this is high traffic. We're going to get a lot of action right here, and this would justify why we're willing to pay a little extra for rent. So you're paying for high traffic without getting the benefit of the customers who would be part of that high traffic. Because 99% of the people don't even know you're there. The only people that really know you there is people who has followed you intensely and may have followed the news stories.
Yeah.
And some of the people, and then I'm sure you're getting some word of mouth also. But other than that, you're missing a large part of sales, and that's that drive-by, that drive-by action. That's cold-blooded right there. And so there has to be. Is there something like within the suit? Have you filed the lawsuit yet?
So we haven't filed anything yet. We are in the process of still trying to see like if they want to work out an agreement with us, if there's something that we can do that is fair, like you keep your rights, a true coexistence agreement, because the coexistence agreement that they sent and we requested is basically it's basically just another form of a licensing agreement, and they're just trying to like do things through the back door. And for us, it's like, let's just be upfront. Let's just actually have a mutual coexistence agreement. You keep your rights to your marks in the classes that you have them for. We'll keep the right to our marks in the classes that we registered and that the USPTO approved us for, and we can get our sign and call it a day. But we haven't been able to come to that yet. So worst case scenario, we will have to move forward with more legal actions.
Explain a little bit more about how the classifications work. I know how it works, but for the benefit of those who don't, explain how classifications work, because you have your classification in the food industry, right? Yeah,
mine is in class 43 for restaurants and restaurant services. So there's different classes. Basically, the way the process works is you can have an attorney or somebody submit a trademark for you. You have to also show like use of the trademark. You have to provide proof, and then you also have to provide like when you initially first used the mark. Once that's all submitted, it goes through a process where for a few months, it just kind of sits because the government's backed up, whatever. And then finally, when a registered agent is attached to the trademark or the mark that you submitted, they start reviewing your application. So once that registered agent's assigned, they start reviewing it. They look at all that information that your attorney provided. At that point, they might send you something where I forgot exactly what it's called, but it's basically like they have questions. So they might have an additional question, and they'll send you a notice and be like, hey, can you clarify this, whatever, and you have to send them more information. Also, during that time, you have a window of opposition. So this is where people can challenge your mark. They can say like, hey, this conflicts with our brand, or this would like tarnish or threaten marks that are already registered or established, or people who have common use, who have already been using the mark in some sort of way but don't have it officially registered. So they have that time, that opposition period, to challenge your mark and like send notices or whatever. If you get past that time free and clear, then you get to the point where you're still pending, and then finally you get to the point where you're registered. And so once your mark is officially registered, that's why you see people use the TM. So usually TM is like pending, and then the R with the circle around it is registered. So that means you're registered. And the way the classes work is each class is like different numbers. So for them, they have the Sienna mark registered in the real estate and development class. And so that's class 37. And our class is 43. And we have Sienna wings in class 43. And then we also have a different class that Sienna sauce is registered in as well. So each category, depending on, that's why you see multiple people have similar names in terms of marks. But if they're in completely different categories, then it's fine, because, they're in different categories. So
what did your lawyer say your chances of being successful is?
I mean, on our part, we haven't done anything that's wrong. Like we've gone through all of the processes in terms of doing our part, making sure that we have our trademarks registered, being efficient on using our trademarks, looking out for when it's time to renew, because you have to renew in 5 years. So we've been doing those things. We haven't been sent any like cease and desist notices or anything from them. So we've been doing our part in terms of using our marks, and the biggest thing is just having it registered. Once you get your mark registered, like, it's yours. So for them, they didn't do their part. Their marks, the one that they had for restaurants, they let it get canceled. They let it die. And so basically that means they either didn't renew it properly, or they couldn't show proof of use. Whatever reason it was, it's canceled, it died. So they haven't been doing what they were supposed to be doing to protect their marks and advocate for themselves over the past how many years that they've had it.
That's why they're so adamant about opposing you guys. That's why. See, they had a mark and they let the mark expire. So in their mind, it's still our mark. We beat you to the punch. But now, since it expired, they're like, wait a minute. That's ours. That's ours. Oh, that's what that's about.
But okay. Even though they only registered Sienna, they didn't register Sienna wings. Like, Sienna wings is our full mark. It's not like we're trying to just put the word Sienna on our building. We're trying to put Sienna wings. So there should not be any issue of confusion, like in terms of people coming here and thinking that we sell real estate or we sell homes. Nobody comes here and thinks that. And nobody's going up to their office thinking that they sell wings. Like, there's none of that. So it's really just a matter of them wanting control. And I think at first they thought I was just a young girl who started a business, like somebody who's selling cookies at a farmer's market or something like that. They did not expect the business on paper to be as legit as it is and to last as long as it has. And so I think that's where it's like trying to backtrack and make up, because they didn't take us seriously. They didn't think that we would ever get to the place where we're out of our house and we have a standalone place and we can put our name on the building. Because if they took us seriously from the beginning, then they probably, I don't know. But again, I don't think that they took us seriously, or they thought the business would last as long as it has, because, unfortunately, a lot of restaurants, they don't last. They close in the first year, they close in the first 6 months. And so Yeah, but we've been having, it's weird that this is happening now because we've been operating for years in this community. Like, this is the community that I grew up with. I grew up in. I went to middle school here. I went to high school here. I graduated, went to college, came back. I still live here. I'm a resident. We've partnered with them. We've done events with them. So we've been coexisting with them and operating with them. They've purchased sauce from us and used the product and giving it out to people buying homes. So it's weird that when we've been coexisting all this time, now when we finally are at the point where we want to get a sign, now we have to sign this agreement.
Were they passing out the sauces to new residents while you was in that new building?
No, this is like over the course of 7 years, you know. They've reached out. We've done July 4th they've reached out about us doing July 4th events. We've done events with the POA, HOA, the Sienna Association. We've done them at the clubhouse, you know, for the kids and things like that. They've purchased sauce from us, the developers, for, I don't even know what they were doing with it, but I guess they wanted to show like, hey, this is a brand who started in Sienna. So
what does your city council members think of all this?
We have had a lot of members come forward and support. We've had the mayor of Missouri City, Mr. Robin. He's been very supportive of this. He's tried to help where he can. He's connected us with people who are in the association to try to further that conversation. And a lot of city council members have come forward and just shown their support. There's not that much that they can do, but we are trying to see like if there is something else that can happen, like a bill being passed, or if we can, I don't know if you've ever like driven on a highway and you see like the sign that says like in 5 miles there's this gas station and this restaurant and this restaurant. So we're trying to see now if it's possible for us to get one of those signs like off the Fort Bend Tollway, so that when people are on the Fort Bend Tollway, they can see like, oh, these are the restaurants that are coming up, you know, on Sienna Parkway once they hop off the Fort Bend Tollway. So trying to see if there's other ways that we can create brand visibility and recognition in the meantime while we're having the signage dispute.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, okay, that's meantime, because I'm about to say that cannot be a permanent solution. You need that.
That's not a permanent solution. No, the goal is to get the sign. But again, we don't have like control over that. We're also we're trying to move forward with applying for our signage through Missouri City as well, because even after we get approval from the POA, you still have to get approval from the city for your sign, for like city signage requirements. And so we're trying to see if we can do that process first while we wait on the other process, because the city takes about 4 weeks anyway to review the signage and everything. So if we already get the pre-approval from the city, then all we have to do is wait for the approval from the POA. So there's a lot of things that we're trying to do and working on with our attorney in terms of like next steps and how to move, but it's been a really challenging process. I know Black Enterprise just wrote up a story and Afrotech wrote up a story this week. So it's great that people are still taking the time to write about it and get the word out there. And that's really what we need, like sign or no sign, in order for us to operate and sustain the business and probably get to a place where we can have another location that's not in this neighborhood and we don't have to deal with this. It's just continuous support. And even you came, you showed up, you patronized the business. So things like that and giving me the opportunity to tell my story on your platform is something that like I truly appreciate. So
absolutely. Why not just move? Like right now, why not just pick up?
Very expensive to move. So we just moved here, like you said, like a year ago in May. The place we were in, they closed down. We opened up in June of 2025 here, and then we purchased it in last November. So that's like not even 6 months ago. Like that's like 5 months ago. So we're still getting people to know that we're here. And in terms of like our customers, you don't want to create like instability for them where they lose trust in the brand because you're always like moving somewhere. And that's what you see a lot with like food trucks and stuff, because you'll go and they'll have hours and then they won't be there, and you're like, well, what happened? Like, the truck could get towed anytime. So you don't want to create any like instability for people. You want to have consistent hours. You want to close when you say you're going to close. You want to open when you say you're going to open. So that's one thing. The other thing is just the cost of it. Like, we're talking about full build out, grease trap, hood vent, signing a new lease that would probably have to be anywhere between 5 with a 3-year renewal period. And we don't even know what the triple nets are. We don't know if the landlord's going to give a tenant improvement, and then not including the transportation of all the equipment, or just having to purchase new equipment, having to hire new employees, because who knows if the people who work here now want to travel to work wherever we're going, because a lot of people that work for us are students and they're local, and their parents don't want them to work 10 miles away from where they live. They want their job to be close, because their parents are probably the ones dropping them off and picking them up from work. So there are things like that you have to consider when moving. It's not just, oh, let's pick up and move.
Yeah, you are sharp. I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm sitting here listening to you talking. I'm like, man, this girl is sharp. She's sharp. Like, I see your mom working with you a lot. I saw her at the restaurant when I came, and I also saw her on Shark Tank standing side by side with you. Is your father involved with this at all?
No, he's not involved like with the business. He's involved with me personally. So like anything that I need, if I need anything from him in terms of like, he helped me get through school and, supported me through college, things like that. And if I ever need any fatherly talks or advice, but he's not a part of the business. It's just something that me and my mom, that we do together. And my dad, he has his own businesses and aspirations as well, and he's pretty successful in them. So he's mainly focused on that. He doesn't have like probably the time or attention for this.
Salute to your parents, because I can see that the energy is infectious. It's like you're coming through a screen. I'm telling you, you're coming through the screen. And hold on. For your parents. I ain't got no problem with that. Like, if you started your business at 14. You're on Shark Tank at 16 years old. You're 22 now. Boy, it's going to be scary to see where you are in 10 years. It's going to be scary. But I know wherever you're going to be, success is going to be right there with you. What we doing today? Success is going to be right there with you. Now, let's go back to Shark Tank. I always wondered, David John is a friend of mine, but, I've always wondered how much pressure it is standing in front of him on Shark Tank, like just kicking it and all that kind of stuff, just talking on the phone, it's all relaxing. But standing before him and these other sharks, when you have to walk in there and pitch your business, how much anxiety did you have, or were you calm? Like, did you get out everything you wanted to get out? Were you able to say everything you wanted to say? Or did you miss a couple of things because you were a little nervous?
Well, first thing, he wasn't actually on my episode when I filmed, so I didn't get to go in front of him. But the sharks that I did go in front of, it was a weird time when I filmed, because I filmed during COVID. And so during that specific taping, they actually, usually you stand about maybe 5-6 feet away from the sharks, like in a normal filming. But this particular time, because it was COVID, we were like 10-12 feet away from them. So not only are you there, you have nerves, but you're having to like yell without it looking like you're yelling, because they're so far away from you. But yeah, it was nerve-wracking. I think I kind of blacked out in terms of like when I went, but we practiced the pitch so many times beforehand with the producers, with ourselves. We were stuck in a hotel room for 10 days because we had to quarantine 10 days before we actually went on air. And so we just practiced like every day, and just watched old episodes and retaping. Like we rewatched Shark Tank from like season 1. That's just what we did for like months when we knew we were gonna probably go on the show. And so by the time we got there, we just was like, whatever happens, happens. We're just gonna leave it all on the table. We're gonna do our best, and we're gonna tell our story. I think that's the biggest part. It's great that the sharks are there, but I think the point when I got to the stage, or when I got to the point where I was pitching to them, I wasn't even pitching to them anymore. I was pitching to the world. Like, there are 30 millions of people that are gonna tune in and watch this. I'm not pitching to these 5 people that are in front of me. They either want me or they don't, but I need the world, I need America to fall in love with the product and with the story without even being here. Because whether these 5 people or not, they're not gonna make me feel like my business is good or not. Like, they're gonna have their own opinions, that's fine, but there's other people watching this. There's other possible investors. There's other possible people who might resonate with the story. So that's what I always tell people about going on Shark Tank. Like, it is a 4-minute, 5-minute commercial. Like, you're never going to be able to reach that amount of audience in that short amount of time. So whether the sharks want your business or not, the fact that you made it there, the fact that you're a part of a select few group, there's hundreds of thousands of people who apply to be on the show every year and they don't make it. They actually record extra episodes just in case, because some people don't make it. So like, they might tape 120 episodes but only air 100. So 20 people, they still tape their episode but they never got it aired. And that happens all the time. So it's just a matter of having the badge of honor. Like, I was there and I was able to do that. That was enough for me.
Yeah. At what point did you realize you wasn't just making sauce, but you was making a brand, building a brand that people could connect with?
I think the moment I realized was early on in the beginning when I started selling the wings out of my house. Because most people, they would have just went straight to like doing the sauce all the way. But by selling the wings out of my house, I was able to have those like interactions with the customers and like tell them my story. And I really just fell in love with like the food and the customer service experience for all of it. Because at a certain point, we stopped selling the wings and we were just doing the sauce. And when I was in college and I was thinking about how do I want to spend the rest of my life, it's like, I love doing the sauce. I love having the sauce and talking to people and telling people about the sauce, but that's not what the business had become at that time. At that time, it had become me talking to retailers and me packing orders and doing e-commerce and worrying about marketing and worrying about this and worrying about that. And it was less of like me engaging and connecting with the people and hearing about what the people like or what they want, or do they like how the food tastes? And so while I'm sitting in my dorm and in college and I'm thinking, how do I want to spend the rest of my life? Do I want to spend it dealing with buyers all the time, or do I want to spend it dealing with the people? And so that's why when I was in my sophomore year, I came back and I wanted to open the restaurant because I wanted to deal with the people again. I wanted to hear about their day when they came in the restaurant. I wanted to tell them my story and tell them about the product and have them taste the sauces and have those interactions. Because with the buyers, you don't get that, and they're playing their own game. And it's like you always having to prove yourself rather than the people who come here. I know they want, like, I already know they're coming because they want to be here because they drove all the way over here, versus having to prove yourself every day can give you burnout. And I think that's where a lot of entrepreneurs are. They're just like chasing people who don't really want to deal with them, rather than being here every day fuels me because people come in here and they do want to be here. They do want to see me. They do want to try the food. It's so much more filling for my soul and my spirit and my mental, which was really important to me. So,
yeah. What's one mistake that you made early on that helped you level up that getting it right wouldn't have?
I think learning when to say no. I think there are a lot of times where like I could have said no. Like when I was on Shark Tank and, we went in and we wanted a certain deal and she came back with a different deal. I could have said, actually, no, I want the deal that I said I want. And I could have said no then. I could have said no when I got into Target and Yeah, I could have said no at that time too, because it's like now I know I didn't have the capital I needed to actually invest in being in a retailer like that, because it's not just getting a product on the shelf, but it's getting it off the shelf. And at the time, I thought that Target has systems in place to support a brand like me based off of the accelerated program that I was in. But once I got into the system, it wasn't what it looked like from the outside and what I was told. And so just learning through that process of what it really takes to be competitive in retail, there are just points where I feel like I should have said no, because they're a national retailer, and even though we were in stores locally, our customer wasn't the one that was going to Target, because most people, and you'll see, Target doesn't really invest in the food category. They invest in beauty, they invest in fashion, they invest in that. The everyday grocery shopper isn't really going to Target, not in Texas at least, not when you have HEB. Now, if you're in other places like California stuff and they don't have like those staple grocery stores, you might see that. But in Texas, when you have HEB, you're going to get your groceries from HEB.
So at what point did your relationship with Target dissolve?
Probably, I can't remember the exact date now because it's so long ago, but I think it was like the beginning of 2024. I think April 2024, our products were like officially removed from the category set.
So in reality, you started the Target boycott. You know what I'm saying? Because
I've been boycotting for a long time. Since they removed my product, I stopped going there. So way before people started boycotting them, I already was like, oh yeah, they're not messing with me, so I'm not gonna go spend my money there. And I stopped shopping at Target way before the boycott. So when the boycott came out, I wasn't even surprised, because I'm like, I already dealt with this. I dealt with them, and I dealt with this. So all the things that the founders and everybody was saying, I was like, I just went through this. Like, where was I? Like, I'm like, I literally just went through this. So I was not surprised, and I had already been boycotting Target like way before then, because it really broke my heart. Like when Shark Tank and Target, those are like two sore spots for me, because it's like, when you're so close to your dream and it's like you're actually in it, and then it doesn't go the way that you imagine it to go, it kind of like, and again, I'm still a kid during these times. Like when I got into Target, I was like 17. I was like 18, 17. And when I was on Shark Tank, I was like 16, 15. So it's like, I'm still a kid. And like, you think your dreams are going to come true. You think your life changed. And then it's more of the same. It's actually worse. It's probably worse than what it was before you actually engaged in those activities. So yeah, those two experiences, they always leave like a sore spot for me, and they broke my heart. And that's kind of like what I'm dealing with right now. I grew up in this community. I've loved this community, and for the neighborhood and the developer to be, doing this to my business is another thing that just breaks my heart. So
yeah, but y'all swinging for the fence though. I'm talking about when I think about that adage, when God closes one door, he opens another.
Yeah.
And I see your face. Like those doors be opening, but that's because y'all put the work in too, though. Y'all getting favor, but y'all also put the work in. If not for the work, everything starts with the work. See, if y'all hadn't put the work in first, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So the work starts with the work. But somebody could argue that, well, no, it actually starts with the dream. So let's just say, let me entertain that for a moment. Let's say it started with the dream. Let's say, I don't have the platform that I have. I don't have the success that I have, but I got $100 in the kitchen and a dream. What do I do?
$100 a kitchen and a dream? I would say, but you have a kitchen or you don't have a kitchen?
No, I'm just saying, I got a kitchen. Let's say I'm in my parents' kitchen. You know what I'm saying? I got $100, and or maybe I'm not in my parents' kitchen. But I got $100. Maybe I got $200, whatever. But the point is, I don't have a lot of money to work with. I don't have a lot of capital. but I got a dream and I got a kitchen and I want to do something. I want to make something of myself. I want to make something for the people. So I can sell and I can follow my dream.
I would say,
I'm doing it.
this is what I would say. I would actually say to go get a job. I would actually say go work in whatever you want your dream to be. Because even if you don't have the capital and maybe you don't have the network and relationships and connections to like actually execute your dream, if you're working in that environment, you can gain the experience and maybe the relationships that you need in order to fund your dream. And those are some of the things that I did, because like I had the dream, but I didn't know everything when I started. So finding different ways to educate yourself, whether it's Googling, like when I wanted to open up the restaurant, I had been asking my mom for like 5 years. Like I was like, please, can we open it? And she's like, you don't know how much it takes. You don't know how much a restaurant takes. And I'm like, okay, I'm listening. I'm hearing her. So when I finally went to her when I was 19, by that time, I literally pitched her a deck. Like I researched the neighborhood, the demographics, the industry, how much would it cost? I designed a menu. I developed all the pricing. I literally in detail gave her a whole like itemized sheet document with what my dream, what my concept was. And then when she saw that, it wasn't me just asking her with words, but she saw my vision. I was able to create it for her. And then she was like, oh, okay, you're serious. There's a difference between just telling people, oh, I have an idea. But when you actually put it to paper and you do the due diligence that you need to show that your idea is executable, then people will take you more seriously. And so that's what I would say. Spend the time to research what you're really passionate about. Learn the industry any way you can, whether it's talking to industry experts, maybe reaching out to people on LinkedIn, asking them for, a coffee chat or a side chat to hear about their experience, or go get a job where you can learn every day like what it is like to work in the industry that you're interested in being a part of, whether it's the restaurant industry or the culinary industry. And I would say start there. If you don't have the family with resources or the relationships and connections in order to actually execute your idea, your dream, and start small. Like if you want to start local, you can build up your fan base, take that $100, make a few versions of whatever you're trying to do, whether maybe it's pizza or something. Take that $100, get a pizza oven, make a few pizzas, go to a farmer's market, start small. Just tell people your idea, talk to your customers first. And the number one thing is find a way to keep those customers, whether it's creating some sort of Google Doc where they can sign and put their email address so that later on when you want to actually launch, you already have all that customer information, or maybe you have an Instagram page where they can follow you and you can build up your customer base so that when you launch, you already have customers waiting. You don't want to launch and then have to go get the customers.
So basically what you're telling me is that $100 ain't going to do it. I'm going to need more money. I'm going to need
$100 don't do nothing.
How much
you know how much gas is? I just went to the gas station. I don't ever pump gas. It was $4. It's $4.
How much did you start with though when you started your business? When
I started my business,
you start with
probably
when
like
you first started making sauce, because you made the sauce first, right?
It's like a chicken egg situation, to be honest.
Right.
But I did start with more than $100.
How much?
It was probably, like the initial investment, probably closer to $1,200, $2,000, because we're talking about, like, I started my business, I'm not saying the right way, but like I got the LLC.
You did the LLC first, didn't you?
Yeah, I got the LLC. Like we actually had bank accounts. Like we're talking about, you have to pay for Square services, like things like that. We went and we weren't just taking Zelle, and that stuff wasn't even around in 2017. You either had to get Stripe or Square. You wasn't taking Cash App, Zelle. You was either taking Stripe, Square, or Cash. Those are the only things that you could take in terms of like trading money. Now people are like, oh, just Zelle me, oh, Cash App me. Like that's how people conduct business. But we didn't have like those options in 2017. So we went out, we had to buy a Square system so that we could ring up customers. We got the LLC, and then we bought some ingredients for me to do the sauces, and then we spent like, I think, a couple of $100 on bottles. We bought 1,000 bottles with the caps, and then I had to get the labels from from Office Depot. We printed those out, and I would stick them on. We bought a hand seal gun. So like all those little pieces, they add up. So it was more than $100. I'll tell you that. Now it wasn't nothing crazy, but it was definitely more than $100. And my mom definitely helped me with like the initial seed money and investing for that. But it will take more than $100. $100 will just get you a nice couple of tanks in your gas tank.
What's the most rewarding part of what you do, and tell me what it is about this journey that you've been on that you could actually do without?
Okay, well, I'll start with the most rewarding part, which I tell my team member all the time, is the people. Like, literally, I have customers that come in and they crack me up every day. Like, they drive all the way over here, they don't look at the menu, then they get here and they look at the menu, and then they ask me like, oh, you don't have dry rubs? And I'm like, no, I don't have dry rubs. And they're like, oh, you don't have buffalo? And I'm like, no, I don't have buffalo. And then they leave. And it just like, even those people, like, they crack me up, because it's like, dang, you drove all the way over here, you didn't look at the menu, and then you just leave. Like, but it's those experiences that it's like you never know what's going to happen every day. Or you'll get a customer that's like their first time and they never been here before, and they're like, oh yeah, I want a 50 piece. I'm like, bro, you just out here balling. You didn't even want to come like try a little bit of thing. You just like, I want a 50 piece. So it's like those things that I feel like always bring me joy. And like when I give people samples of the spice it up, and I tell them it's sweet with a kick, and they taste it and they're like, those things are the things that bring me joy every day. The things that I could do without, which people do not talk about enough, and I'm glad you asked me this, is the ghosting culture. I find it extremely disrespectful. There are a lot of professionals that actually think it's okay to do business this way, but they'll engage you, they'll have conversation with you, and then they'll totally ghost you. Like, I've had multiple people reach out about partnerships or investing or doing something with the sauce or doing something with the wings, and they'll engage in conversation with you, and then they'll just not respond to any of your emails. They'll drop off the face of the earth. And I just feel like that's disrespectful. I don't think people should practice business that way. Even at Shark Tank, like Kendra Scott, her team, they never reached out. And then they reached out like a year and a half later, and our lawyer and their team were going back and forth about, deal, and our lawyer sent over stuff. They never responded to the email. So like things like that have always bothered me, because you can just have the common decency to let somebody know, hey, I don't want to do business with you. I don't want to be in a relationship with you. And people don't have that. Like, people have taken their personal life practices into business, and it's just like, why are we doing that? And it just happens too much, and nobody talks about it, and nobody holds anybody accountable, because they don't want to be the annoying person that calls them out on the, oh, why you never responded to my email, or why, like, they don't want to be the better person. They just pick up business and move on because they want to be business professional. But at a certain point, if somebody's not giving you professionalism in return, why are we still giving them professional courtesy by not calling them out on their unprofessional practices? And I had somebody I was on a call with, they were like, yeah, I've ghosted people. You've probably ghosted people. And I was like, no, I have not. I have not done that. And I don't know why you did that. You could have just told that person you didn't want to do business with them. You didn't have to do that. So that's just something that I could have done without. And I really hope that changes. It probably will not, but that's something I hope changes in the business world for sure.
Yeah, I absolutely can relate to that, because, hey, it happened to me before, not just before, but, it's happened several times. It happens, it's people that's like that. I don't understand. I'm glad you said that, because now I know now it's not just me. I'm going to make a diss song about it.
You should. If you make it, I'll play the diss song for sure. Because it's people that you look up to and you respect. Like, it's usually people that you're like, oh, these are people I would love to work with, and then they just disappoint you by their professional behavior. Because like, why wouldn't you just say, hey, I would respect you a lot more if you're just like, I don't think your business is suitable for what I have in mind, and we don't need to like work together. That's fine. That takes 2 seconds to send me email. But instead, you're seeing my emails, I'm sending you emails, I reach out to your assistant, you're stonewalling me. Like, why are we doing all this when you could just say, hey, I'm not interested in working with you? Yeah. And I can save my time and you can save yours.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you saved your time to make wings and come up with that sauce and be the boss, you know, because, you know, you're doing some great things. And as a fellow Houstonian, you make us proud. H-Town, baby. H-Town, Missouri City, but H-Town, baby. You know how it is, you know. Yeah. I appreciate you coming on the show. Are there any final things that you want to, any final thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you for your time and just giving me the platform to ask me questions. And I like some of the questions that you ask me, because people always ask me like the same stuff. So it's nice when I do interviews and people ask me different things. So just want to say thank you for your time. That's all.
Absolutely. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Tyla Crayton, the sauce boss. No more talk.